Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're gonna talk about the stage 5 of gang stalking, and this is pretty much the electronic harassment with secret advanced technology and devices. Excuse me. So this is the most divisive part of the entire channel. It is, people are convinced that there is technology involved. I know what the truth is, but I am not gonna fight you. I'm not gonna fight YouTube against what is truth and what isn't, but I am going to tell you how I discovered that it was all in your mind, and that way if you're going through it, you can go through your own observations and then you can arrive to your own conclusions. But first of all, I want to tell you that if you're getting gang stalked, this can be the most productive and beautiful and extremely rare experience that you are gonna have ever in your entire life for a deep exploration of your mind. You don't get this opportunity. It is very rare, so that way you can consider it a blessing, because you are gonna get to familiarize yourself with your mind in such a way that you're going to literally learn how to use it in ways that hardly ever anyone knows. So remember that I told you that last time, remember how I told you last time that there is a way to remember two different facts or two sets of numbers at the same time? So I'm gonna tell you real quick. The only thing that you do is that you take a snapshot with your mind of the information, like if it's a series of number, and then you hold the image in your head, like you keep it alive, and then while you have the image in your head, you go over the second type of information that you want to remember, and then you just use sub-vocalization to repeat it, so that way the thought just bounces on the channel of your thought, of your mind, and that way you hold an image of a different fact, and then you have you vocalize the second fact, and that way you're holding two different thoughts at the same time. So there are things that, like, I would have never even guessed how to do that. I would have never even tried it, but because of gang stalking, I learned all these different techniques on how to use my mind. Now, additionally, in this video, we're gonna see a lot of information that can be a little explicit. So when all of these things were happening, I was like very sexually active. I was on Grindr, on Sniffies, on BBRT, on all these crazy apps. And I'm gonna tell you one thing. I'm gonna talk about a lot of things that are sexually involved. So just warning, all right? And the thing is that I use this opportunity, like a lot of these things happen when I was like really horny. So like I twisted all the things that are supposed to make me terrified, and I made them my sex toys. I know it sounds weird, but just hang on a little bit. All right, so here we go. Well, I'm gonna tell you what the book on gang stalking, the targeted individual says. The targeted individual handbook says. It starts with this. At this level, targeted individuals are exposed to attacks and torture with advanced technology and devices, which can be administered from a remote location. The gang stalkers have the ability to rape, beat, and poison targeted individuals from a remote location through the invisible power of the air, with directed weapons 24/7. Then it talks about the amygdala, and then here it goes. The gang stalking agents have the ability to hack into the brain of the targeted individual to induce realistic hallucinations that affect the five senses of sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch of the targeted individual. The dreams of the targeted individual can be manipulated. All right, so first of all, now we're gonna go on to how they do this. So listen, how they do this, quote unquote. So concentrated, extremely low frequency electromagnetic waves can penetrate the cranium in the most conductive portion of the skull, or pterion-temporal lobe intersection, and produce effects in the anterior temporal lobe that contains the amygdala. Remote stimulation of the temporal lobe may cause lethal or incapacitating seizures. Stimulation of the amygdala produces fear in high percentage of humans, and in some instances, respiratory depression. Now, I'm going to tell you about some of the experiences that I had with electronic energy weapons or direct energy weapons. First of all, the first experience that I had was when simply my bed began shaking. Like, I was in a hotel room and I was in bed, and I was so sure that it was some type of like demonic being, because my body got filled by like this crazy negative emotion, and then my bed just began shaking. I didn't cry, but I was legit frightened. One of the very few times that I have actually been frightened. So then, following that, immediately after I felt the shaking, I actually went online and I came across gangstalking and direct energy weapons. So I was like, okay, there's no way this is a spirit. This has to be a direct energy weapon. When this happened, I did not know that it was my nervous system. Now, following that experience, the next intense experience was when I thought that someone was literally pushing the floor from underneath my feet, because I was literally just like laying in bed and everything was like shaking like really hard, and it was intense. So like, I even, like, the next day, I was living in the first time that I experienced this, I was laying in bed and I just felt everything shake, and the gang stalkers were looking at me. Like, I had one of my roommates was like a really crazy gang stalker. He already moved away. Sorry. So then, my bed was shaking and I was just like, what the hell? And then I felt I just felt some type of sensation, a really intense sensation on my toes. And when this happened, I tried everything to get rid of freaking toenail fungus, But the way that you get rid of it, this is completely tangent, is by just wearing shoe stuff that let your feet breathe. That's it. You just follow them down, and then we even went with a podologist, like a foot doctor. He gave me some medicine, and it's working. But more than anything, I now just wear hiking shoes because they're really breathable. Anyways, so, and I felt that my roommate knew what I was going through. I felt like he knew that my body was shaking, like that. I felt like I could have sworn that there was something underneath, that I first believed that there was someone underneath my bed, somehow shaking it. Because I refused to believe that it was a spirit, but I was like, there's the most realistic reason or explanation to feeling of this sensation. It was to literally just that there was someone literally pushing my bed and moving it side to side. So then I got up, and my roommate was like looking at me weird, but then I just walked to the restroom, and it literally felt like someone was just pushing my feet. Even when I showered, like from the first floor. So I even like jumped on it and I felt the floor move. I was like, oh, they can actually push the floor up. So then in my head I was visualizing like someone with like a rolling ladder, literally just pushing the floor from underneath my feet, because that was the only thing that made sense. It literally was the only thing that made sense. Because that's how it felt like. That's exactly what it felt like. So then the next day we had to like clean our rooms. So in homeless shelters, you have people who are really messy and dirty. So they come and fumigate like once a month. So you have to put all your belongings in like a black bag, and you have to lift up your mattress. And it was the very next day where I felt the shaking. So I noticed that my roommate was staring at me. And I was thinking to myself, do not act like you are looking for something that is moving the bed underneath you. And that is what I did. I was just, as to the best of my ability, I just cleaned my bed, and I tried to abstain from having a shocked face that there was nothing underneath my bed. So, sorry, before this, I walked to the restroom like when I began to feel the shaking of the bed. And I felt the shaking following me all the way to the restroom. And then I began shaving. And then another roommate asked me, someone who lived on the same floor, he asked me, how are you doing? And I was like, I'm okay. And then he just pointed at me and began laughing, like with an evil grin. But he didn't say anything. But I mean, and that made me just wonder, does he know that I'm feeling like I'm shaking? How can they know? So I don't know. I am not sure how obvious it is that you're feeling something, because I didn't see myself. But I know that they knew that there was something going on. I just don't know what was it that they knew that what was going on. So about the exploration of the mind. Well, of the sensations. Gangstalking will give you kind of access to parts of your nervous system that are not typically available for you. So when there was a time where I was in my room, and I began feeling stabbing, like someone had like a long wooden stake, you know, like how you kill vampires with, but thinner. And I felt like he was just like pushing it like that, and then it was like bending, and then that they began twisting it, and then I just felt it pierce through. It literally felt like it was actually piercing through. And I don't know, like, call me sick or whatever, but then I just began wondering, how would it feel if I imagine if it is just a drill with a plate on it, with grit, with sandpaper, and then just spinning, sanding off my skin. And then I visualize it, and then the sensation was the stabbing literally turned into the sandpaper, and I literally just began feeling it like grind away at my skin. And then I was like, how about a fan with metal blades? And then I literally just began feeling it like the sandpaper turn into a fan, and then it was just spinning really fast. And then I began imagining, what if it spins faster? And then I felt it spin faster. And then I began to imagine all these kinds of crazy torture devices. Like, what if it's a wheel like the wheel in Bayonetta, where it's like the wheel that she kicks that has spikes all around it, and she kicks it and it began spinning, and I literally began feeling that. So then I was wondering, so that's what that when that was happening, I thought that gangstalkers had access to my imagination, and they were just making the direct energy weapons produce those sensations that I was imagining. So then this happened, right? So then in another instance, I began imagining, well, when I was at work, for some reason, I began feeling like there was an anus, a rectum, underneath the sole of my foot, just shitting. And then I was feeling like if I was wearing a boot, and it was just filling up with shit. It was disgusting. And I just literally felt my foot just fill up with shit. It was so gross. Ugh. And then in another instance, when I was feeling that, this is where like some of the sexually explicit things happen. I was horny. I was just horny. So I began, what if I just feel like someone like jacking, doing that, like right with the head just rubbing on my foot, and freaking just shooting the load on my ankle. And I felt that, and it was so hot. Oh my god, it was so awesome. So then when this happened, I don't know if I imagined this, but then like customers at the store were like, they literally came in and they were like, "You're just a pervert," and I was like, "What?" I didn't say anything. I just ignored it. But I was like, how could they possibly know that I'm imagining someone just shooting their load on my ankle? And like, I'm not sure if they were mad because I was having a good time. But yeah, like it was so hot, and then I was just like, and then like I imagined like the balls like bouncing on my when someone was like masturbating, and I like the balls hitting my like on my ankle, and it was so freaking hot. I was having a blast. Like I turned around what was supposed to be a horrific experience into a sexually pleasant experience. It was like the best thing that had ever happened to me. I loved it so much. So then, also, like I was just enjoying my hallucinations. I didn't know they were hallucinations. I was just, making the best of them. Following that, remember when like the shadow was like raping me? Well, first of all, the book says that the direct energy weapons can rape their victims. But let me tell you, you cannot rape the willing. And I was more than willing, because I was getting way more pleasure out of my hallucinations than actually going out and hooking up with people. Way more pleasure. So I imagine like getting raped by penis of all sizes, all shapes. Call me a pervert. Sorry, I was horny as hell, and I was not getting no one was giving me the satisfaction. So I'm gonna use whatever tools I have, right? So I imagine it like to be like tentacles, to be like really long, and then like I would feel like the penis to go like right up into my throat, hitting behind my throat, and then I would feel like the load shooting up. It was the hottest experience I have ever had with hallucination. And then I would feel like the balls bounce. It was so hot. Oh my god. So I came up with the name. So that there is this like super mega powerful sexual toy called the Hitachi wand. So keep that in mind. So I love playing Bayonetta, and in Bayonetta there's this angel that is called Golem. So Golem is like a sphere of like energy that has like stones around it that can transform into many shapes, such as a snake, some type of like animal, and then like a bird, and like a blade. So then I named the shadow the Hitachi wand Golem version golden version 5,000. So like after a whole day of pleasing myself with the hallucinations, I was just driving to In-N-Out, no pun intended. And I was laughing because, oh my god, I love my golden Hitachi One 5000. And I was just laughing all the way to In-N-Out to get a burger because I was so hungry. And I was just laughing my ass off for like the whole 20-minute drive because I couldn't believe that I was having so much fun with what was supposed to be the most horrific part, the most horrific thing, this direct energy weapon. It was supposed to be torturing me, but I made it into my toy, my sex toy. And I was just having the time of my life with it. So then, if gang stalkers are supposed to torture you, do you think that I would, after that, make that sensation that pleasant? No, because there's no such thing as direct energy weapon. It is a hallucination. Additionally, the hallucinations work with what your senses are actually receiving. So when I was in the homeless shelter, I was showering wearing with Crocs because homeless people are fucking disgusting. Some of them. So I would shower with Crocs, right? And when you're wearing Crocs, they're made out of rubber, so they have a weird sensation. It's not like cloth. And when it's wet, it just feels like wet silicone. So whenever I got out of the shower, I would feel like there was a mouth sucking my toes. Like, what is the closest thing that I know that resembles the sensation of wet rubber on my feet? It's someone licking my feet and my toes. That felt so good. And I was just enjoying walking around on my Crocs, feeling my feet getting sucked. I love that stuff. And it was just feeling so amazing. And my eyeballs were like rolling up the entire time. It was amazing. So that's one instance. Another instance, my crazy roommate Errol, he literally just left thumbtacks, and I was walking wearing my Crocs, but my Crocs were very, very thin because I worn them out. So then a thumbtack just went through and pierced on the sole of my foot, and I just heard it like a crack. And then, so when this happened, my way of dealing with gang stalking is by showing absolutely zero reaction to absolutely any type of pain. I had a lot of practice because I endured the hallucinations stabbing my foot for hours on end. So I was an expert at not showing any pain. So I literally, I just want to, I had a reaction, but I didn't go like or anything. It just surprised me, but that was painful. But because of all the experience with the hallucinations, I learned how to control the pain. I could kind of move the pain away from my nervous system. I'm not sure how to explain that, but it is a new skill that I got because of the gang stalking. So again, I learned how to manipulate my nervous system in ways that I would have not otherwise. Once I literally dropped a 45-pound weight on my toe, and I managed to just ignore the pain. I didn't flinch, nothing. It was crazy. And then I saw this big bodybuilder just looking at me like, what the hell? Because I was able to move the pain away from my nervous system somehow and ignore it. And him and his friends were kind of shocked, which I'm not gonna lie, I felt like a total badass. But anyways, I literally just pulled down the thumbtack and then just boop, put it in the trash, and then went on with my day. Because I would rather be dead than showing any of these manipulators any type of pain from me. I'm not gonna give him that pleasure. Never. I would rather be dead than making them happy. Now, anyways, well, this aside, this experience from the thumbtack, I was at work and I was just walking, and then literally my mind recreated the exact same pain. The exact same pain that as if I had a thumbtack just stuck and freaking pierced the heel of my foot. And then I began feeling the blood pooling. Literally. So I stopped, and then I just took my shoe off, took my sock off, and there was absolutely nothing. There was nothing that pierced my foot. There was no blood. It was all a hallucination. That is exactly how powerful these hallucinations are. That there's literally no difference in between actually having the thumbtack pierce my skin and having the hallucination of having a thumbtack pierce my skin. In fact, the hallucination was more real because it included the blood pooling. And when I had the actual thumbtack, there was no blood pooling. That's how crazy this is. So now, there's also times where you're just gonna get like scared to death. Like, there were times where I was wearing my wet Crocs, and literally I would just feel like a freaking hand come out from the floor and then just grab my foot and hurt me. There were times where I literally just went like, ah, and then I just grabbed my sandal and then I just threw it away because that shit was scary, like out of the blue. Now that I think back to it, I think it's funny, but a gang stalker saw me doing that, and the bitch, she was just like, hey, Efren, look, and then literally she just mimicked me. She just grabbed her own shoe and just went like, ah, and just like threw it away. And I was like, you fucking bitch. But anyways, she was like really overweight, and I remember I told, good job on actually using the stairs, because most people just take the elevator, but I can see that you're making an effort to get yourself in shape. And the bitch pays me with that type of fucking behavior. Fuck you. I hope you watch this, you hoe. Fucking bitch. I hate her so much. Anyways, I actually have her email. She hardly checks it, but I'm gonna send her an email calling her a fucking bitch. Fucking hate her. Now, so my suggestion to you, if you're there, make the sensations your bitch, just like the auditory hallucinations. Sit down and explore them, because when you explore what your body, what your nervous system is doing without your consent, you can learn so many things. So I sat down and then I played with it and turned it into all these things. Your mind is your friend. It is the one thing that is never supposed to betray you. And somehow gang stalkers have found a way to use it to torture you with it. So it's your mind, not theirs. You are the one that has the control. So you have to take it back. Sit down and explore it. It responds to what you're imagining. Just like the voices. So you have to explore and you have to try to regain control. I am still not, even though I know all of this, I am not able to control it 100%. But thanks to it, I learned how to dissipate pain. I learned, I can make the golem Hitachi 1 5000 anytime I want. Whenever I'm doing, if I'm here, I can make it like pound me. It's the greatest gift that I have ever received from the Gangstalkers. Like, I was literally able to produce all of these amazing sensations only because I was tortured this way. I have access to parts of my subconscious mind that I didn't have before, thanks to the auditory hallucinations. I learned how to purposely keep my subconscious mind open and talk to me when it has to. I learned how to use my mind. I know this sounds so cliche, but I learned how to use my imagination in ways to really help me produce the results that I want. And I learned how to keep 2-3 complete distinct thoughts in my mind at the same time. You're not supposed to be able to have 2 thoughts at the same time. But I learned how to because of all of these experiences. The direct energy weapons are not scary. They are scary when you don't know what it is. But once you explore your mind and you learn how to manipulate it, you're pretty much learning how to use your body and your mind in new ways that no one has ever taught you how to, because this is information that hardly anyone knows. Tell me who can reproduce any type of phallic thing in their ass at will? Me. Because that's just how I am. And because I used all these direct energy weapon sensations to my benefit. I made the gang stalking my bitch. Period. Because I learned so much from it that I would have not learned in any other way. I got acquainted with my mind in such intimate ways that are impossible to anyone else because they haven't gone through it. So again, it is an opportunity that you need to learn how to take advantage of. It was a lot of mental exercises because I was learning how to use the Art of Memory by Giordano Bruno, who invented the Palace of Memory. I learned how to think in symbols because I didn't want when I thought that Gangstalkers had access to my thoughts, I made the decision to actively create symbols for any type of word, any type of emotion. And I would just talk to myself by visualizing the symbols. I completely eliminated the need for me to self-vocalize. So this was when I was studying cybersecurity, and I have a whole book on symbols that mean something to me. Each of them represent an emotion. It's a whole new language, and I can keep symbols in my mind to represent entire sentences, entire pages. And I can just see all this information in a blink of an eye without the need to actually vocalize a thought. I can see the thought before it even goes onto my mind because I have access to my subconscious mind. It is like a compressed format of thought. It's a thought.rar or .zip. But even if it's compressed, you can still read it. It's amazing. And this is why I know that direct energy weapons are not real. because it would be strictly torture. It would be strictly rape. It would be strictly pain. But I made it to be the most wonderful experience I have ever had in my entire life. It was the best exploration of my mind that I have ever had. So if you are going through gang stalking, if you're going through this, if you're feeling direct energy weapons, do not let the fear conquer you. Feel the fear and act like you're not, like it's nothing. Because with practice, it will be nothing. You're going to be so used to just feeling fear and not having any physiological manifestations of it. Because you're going to be so familiar with fear that you're going to become fearless. And that is the best gift. That's another gift that I got from gang stalking. My world around me was going to shit. And I could just act and feel the fear, but go on my day. Because fear becomes nothing. Literally. Because you get so acquainted with the emotion. I can be in a panic and my mind would not be racing anymore. Because I taught myself how to do that. I could be in a car accident or in a close to accident, and I will literally just like bounce back from it in a split second. And nothing other than gang stalking is going to give you that power. My awareness has become so wide that I can keep track of what 5 people are doing. And I can be having this conversation with you. And I have like all these connections. And keep everything processing. Like if I had all these apps open that are doing their own thing, and while I'm being able to have complete concentration on what I'm talking about you, what I'm talking to you about. It literally just helped me discover new ways of using my mind that would have been completely impossible for me to know because of gang stalking. So again, use it to your benefit. This is all for this video. On my next video, we're going to talk about voice to skull. Thank you for watching. Bye.